Hey there, peeps. I thought I would make a video on the YouTube, on the internets, to tell you all how I feel about life and myself. I'm just some lost soul in a sea of souls, wandering through this crazy thing we call life, with a lot of thoughts on my mind, a lot of ideas I want to share, a lot of ideas that I don't want to share. But let me just say that making videos for me is therapeutic. There are different reasons why people make YouTube videos, you know, and for a lot of people, it's to get revenue and, sell their wares. I can fortunately just talk to you from the heart and tell you how I really feel and not worry about that bullshit. But that aside, this expression, this ability for me to express to you, I don't take it for granted. I just wanted to first off say thank you to every one of my subscribers, the people who have been with me through the years, who have listened to my ramblings. You probably know me better than I know myself, because honestly, I don't know myself very well. And I'm starting to realize that as the years go on. I have so many different viewpoints on things and on life and on myself that I'm still trying to figure out exactly what my place is in this universe. I feel alien. I feel like I don't belong. And I know a lot of you feel that way too. But we also have to realize that this feeling is universal, that it seems to be part of the human condition, at least thinking humans. I mean, those who follow the latest trends, the NPCs of the world, they might be able to get through life without really ever questioning anything deeper. And honestly, this is where the term ignorance is bliss comes from. It's not that we look at ignorant people and say, you should be smarter. It's, I wish that I wasn't this smart. Because the more you learn, the more you understand, the more complicated shit becomes. That can be very rewarding, yes. But to be honest with yourself, at some point, you realize it's never ending. And this gets down some philosophical routes about what's important and how wise a man should be and everything. And that's going to be subjective. But to get back to here, the point, I feel like my brain has been on strike for a while. And the reason I don't like to talk about my own personal mental struggles, it's not because I'm embarrassed. It's because I feel like I'm revealing to, the internet it's weird. When you talk about mental health issues, that's one thing. But when you talk about them, your own, you're basically saying, oh yeah, here, here to the internet world, this, you can sell me ads for counseling, sell me ads for this or that. It's like when my mom died last month, and after texting with my wife, I started getting ads for crematoriums and shit like that. And it's like, I'm not hiding my own struggles, but I definitely don't want to seem like they are bigger than anyone else's, because everyone struggles with shit from time to time. We get stressed out, we get anxious, we get depressed. The thing that gets me is that I've been questioning not just my sanity, but my own mental state as far as emotional state. How am I supposed to feel about certain things? And I'm not just talking about blunted emotions or not being sad or mad when I should, or getting angry. I don't have, issues. Although sometimes I can, it's funny, I've learned how to process anger differently. Like stub your toe or drop something, I'll just scream a cuss word, Gah! Really quick, and then it's over. It's like I don't hang on to things. I don't get pissed. I don't hold resentment. I have tried to purge all of my resentment and anything I held against anyone else or any other situation, and let go of the past and move on with the future. I've made a lot of mistakes in my life. We all have. Although maybe 10 years ago, I would have said, hey, I haven't made any mistakes. I mean, I wouldn't have said it that way, but more like, it is what it is. And even today, I guess I still have to agree with that. But there are paths that I could have taken in life which would have benefited me more. However, that's not neither here nor there, as I always say. Here we are. And we're all figuring this shit out together. And, I have a little bit of OCD, a little bit of ADD, ADHD, call it what you will. And I even have mild Tourette's, which I don't really think people understand that Tourette's isn't just blurting out cuss words. It's tics, twitches, things like that. I've had them, since I was young. Never noticed these things because they're just part of my life. And I bring that up because every one of you probably has some issue, a health issue, a mental issue, some sort of a problem, maybe some problem with your family or a problem with a loved one. And there's always something going on that holds us down, and what you would call the suffering in kind of Buddhist terminology. It's the uncertainty that things do happen. And really, you have to view these things as a stoic, especially death. Like, well, this happens, we move past it. But you also have to mourn because you can't become jaded and stony. And so, anyhow, I think it's important. I think one of the reasons why I struggle mentally sometimes is because, and why my brain goes on strike, is because I'm trying to play the long game. And what I mean by that is the big game, the real game, the lifelong game. I'm trying to look at how I approach life as a lifelong endeavor. In other words, if we're always looking at the now, and this is why, when people say just live in the now, that's great until you look back on something you did and you made a mistake. An example would be, let's say I took a job that compromised my integrity, something that I know was harmful to people or the environment, or selling fentanyl, for God's sake, whatever it might be. I couldn't do it because it wouldn't feel right, and I'd know that my morals have been compromised and my values would not allow me to do something like that. But if I did, I could make millions of dollars, right? In the short term, if you're just thinking of today, then you'd have the money that you think you need to buy what you need. Like when I was younger, of course, I probably would have bought stupid shit, but all I want, my dream, is just a piece of land with a farmhouse on it and a shop. It's like such a simple dream that I feel working towards that is always a satisfying goal, but I have to do it honestly. And I get trapped in that long game of, I don't want to be old and look back on my youth and say, God, I was an idiot. And I also don't want to look back on now in my life and say, wow, I can't believe I did that just to get a few dollars. So playing the long game, and what I mean by that is trying to live your life with integrity all the way through. But you're basing that on what you've heard from other people. You may reach a point in your life where you don't share those same values you once had and say, fuck, why didn't I go out and just like a tiger when I was a youth and just, be an entrepreneur and do this and do that. It's just not everybody is set up for that. Not everybody's cut out for that. And that's important to remember. We're all so different and our brains operate so differently. And every one of us has value in this world. And we tend to look at each other and point the finger at, look at what's wrong with this guy, what's wrong with that guy. And in some cases, definitely worthy to do so. But our viewpoints allow us to be who we are and develop us into different types of people. Some people who make beautiful art pieces that somebody might hang on their wall, who is a completely non-artistic person who's maybe they're a hostile person, whereas the artist is peaceful. People are going to benefit from each other, whether they like each other or not. And part of being human means that we're trying to fit in somewhere, to have a niche. And being a generalist, as I am, I like to know a little bit about everything. If I'd spend as much time focused on one topic, I'd fucking know everything about it by now, but I can't. It's just not my thing. Some people are generalists, some people are specialists. I don't remember who said it, but I think it might have been Sigmund Freud. It says specialization is for insects. And it's stuck with me because it's true. Humans, we are curious. We want to explore and we want to know what the world's about. So there's no choice for a person to say, well, ignorance is bliss, so I'm just going to remain ignorant. If you're a curious person, you're a thoughtful person that wants to look for the truth, you're going to keep looking for the truth, and that will never stop. And that will put you in a category where you have to make a choice. To either follow somebody else's truth, say, I like what this group says, I'm going to follow their book. Or to find your own truth in which you stand alone in the middle of a field, bare ass naked, nobody around you, and other people saying, you're wrong, come over here, come to our side. Oh, you're kind of like us, you think kind of like us, you must be one of us. I think that was another quote. I wouldn't join any group that would have me as a member. So if we don't feel like we fit in and we refuse to join a group, we refuse to conform, then we are, I guess, beatniks, outcasts, hippies, losers. So be it for society. But what a lot of people really want is just to change an environment. And a change in environment can change your whole life. In other words, that's my hope. Anyone who lives in the inner city in, Section 8 housing, and they've spent their life there in a gangster-ridden area, they're going to be impacted by that. You can't just live a peaceful life and not be affected by your environment. And sometimes people can't get out. If I were, for example, just even living in the suburbs like I do, if I were to be able to move out into a wooded area where I had some isolation, that would completely change the whole way that my brain operates. I wake up every morning and know I have the woods out back. Like, we need to shake up our lives. I mean, I've lived in the same house for like 20 years now, so, it's about time for a change. But change of environment can be extremely important. And what is normal for us as individuals, this is my friend and I, when we were really stoned kids, I'll never forget, he said, we're like, what is normal? Because, we're these hippie kids smoking dope, talking about life and trying to philosophize at 15. And he said, normal is what you're used to. I was like, yeah, all right, that works. And so, for the past 30 years, that's just been one of my mantras. Normal is what you're used to. There is no such thing. So what's normal for us may change with time, but we also might find an environment that better suits our normalcy and what we consider normal. And we don't have to cater and bend to the whims of everyone around us. Whether it be parents, counselors, teachers, husbands, wives, children, parents, everybody around you is trying to mold you into something. And if you don't want to be that thing, you're going to have some inner turmoil and angst. You might be ambivalent about it, not sure exactly which direction you want to take, The old cognitive dissonance, knowing that you should do one thing, but doing something else to please others. And that comes down to being a people pleaser, which a lot of folks are. And I'd like to walk this, fence carefully here, because if you don't care what other people think at all, then you're never going to be happy, because you need approval. Approval lets us know that we're on the right track according to other people. And even if you think what you're doing is right and everyone else tells you it's wrong, even if you are right, sometimes that can be more damaging to you, only for the fact of community. An example, I guess, off the top of my head would be, a faraway wooded community somewhere out in the cut in past times. One person decides they want to take on a different religion than the group. They want to believe something slightly different than the rest of the people in the village. They can do that. They can have that freedom. They might be allowed to do so. But they may feel satisfied in their beliefs, but they're going to miss the number one thing that religion, politics, everything brings us is togetherness, the community that we form around these things. Community is really the answer. It's not the politics. It's not the beliefs. It's not what name you put on God or what colors you use on your robe. It's community and being like other people. And it's so hard to do that and not be a conformist. So what we want to do is join groups that we agree with. And we don't know what the fuck we agree on, We can't seem to... I feel like my brain needs glasses. That's how I feel lately. It's kind of like, just like when your eyes get bad and you don't realize how bad your vision's really getting until you put on a pair of glasses and you're like, oh my God. Well, it's the way I feel like my brain. I've just got to find the right glasses for my brain. I have been in states of mind where I can accept the inevitable and what is, all the pressure around me, the things I have to do, the normal things of being a father, a husband, a blue-collar worker, homeowner, all these things, these labels that are put on me, or that I put on myself, I guess, and trying to fit everybody else's ideal of what I should be, like we all do. It's complicated. And amidst these journeys, I find myself kind of exploring existentialism and this darkness, and understanding the darkness of our own souls. I think that has been one of the most rewarding things that I've been able to acquire, is that knowledge that everything is okay. Embracing the darkness and the dark visions, dark ideas, reading dark topics, and having very dark psychedelic experiences sometimes, almost purposefully, has allowed me to eliminate my fear almost completely. I'm always testing the waters. Not being fearful doesn't mean that you're not cautious. It just means that you're aware that everything is a cycle, that everything is inevitable, death is inevitable, that life is inevitable, that here we are and this is what it is, and nothing is created or destroyed. But when you get to a certain, I guess, mental state, in certain instances, you can feel that truth. It's unexplainable, it's ineffable, it's only usually covered in symbols, like symbology and patterns, these common themes that we've all, not all of us, but many people have had. The sages, the visions people have had in the past, which can be induced now modern by psychedelics and other means. We're living in a golden age without utilizing the tools. And that's why I feel like if everyone just saw this over here, then we wouldn't be like this. And that's why I feel alone. That the kinds of things I think are important for a society to flourish are considered hippy-dippy shit by a lot of people. And, the hippies are consistently proven to be right. I mean, it's funny. We were just, the hippies in the 60s were called, just acid heads and whatnot. Now psychedelics are just like this breakthrough in therapy. Everybody's already known this within the counterculture and have been saying this for decades, that, hey, this could help people to realize their own depression, their own problems, their own issues, but also see their own darkness. Once you've conquered that, you've overcome that part of yourself, you no longer fear things that the average person fears. You still worry, you can still stress, you can still have bad days, you still get depressed. It doesn't mean that you're cured from all ails. It just means that you can roll with it and play the long game, knowing that you will be recycled one day. And the best you can do is just make this life that you're in right now as awesome as possible. But even knowing these things, even if you had the full truth, it's just very difficult to apply it and live a life in the way that you truly believe it should be lived. We get trapped. Our hopes and dreams and our plans, they get washed away by either our laziness or inability to act, or inaction or overreaction, or circumstance, unforeseen or foreseen. So many different lives lived, so many different ways. And amidst this, there's a lot of confusion. And I feel like right now we're coming into a new way of thinking as a species, if you will, that we're starting to see things differently, and it's going to take some time to adjust. And meanwhile, we're all going to be a little confused. Unfortunately, there are a lot of people trying to take advantage of this, like these BetterHelp ads and psychiatry, and everybody wants to think that they can heal you. Everybody's unique. I think the best people to talk to are those around you because they know you. And unloading on a specialist might be beneficial for some people, but not just some online chat bot or, somebody that can, it's like people want to solve all their problems through other people's ideas. The best we can do is read up and educate ourselves and say, what am I doing wrong? Because I say 90% of the time, if a person has a problem, they can identify it pretty easily and figure out what they need to do to get themselves back on track. And I know that's true for me too. For me, it's in inaction. I freeze, not fight or flight, but freeze when I panic because there's too many things to do. Oh, I've got to make all these phone calls. I've got to deal with this. I've got to deal with a bunch of my mom's paperwork after she passed away. But I also have to go down and I have to fix my car now. I'm starting a job in 2 days. And I start all these things going in my head. And I'm like, wait, Oh, it's just life. And it's okay. It'll pass. Why be afraid to call? They're just another human on the end of the line. But I have a little bit of social anxiety, believe it or not. We all kind of do, and I think we're getting worse as time goes on. But maybe it's just because we're afraid to talk about anything with each other. But I just want to say we need to remind ourselves that things will be okay. And maybe I'm telling that to myself as much as you. That things will be all right. We don't know how to fix our brains. It's going to be a complicated road for anybody who has issues. You can't overnight solve any problems. What you can do is you can plant a seed. And if that seed is nurtured, it will grow. That seed can be the idea that you want to start a business or that you want to be a better person, change your ways. But no matter what day it is, no matter how old you are, 20, 50, 80, today you can decide, I'm going to start over. And you can never start over, but you can start anew. And not by ignoring our past, but by seeing that past as a stepping stone to something greater. If you failed in the past many times, that's good. That means you've grown from your failures. And we tend to not recognize that. We have this sterile idea of what's valuable. Very sterile. I mean, it's like, this is what success is. This person is famous and they have wealth. Look at them. Anybody with a fucking brain knows that that person is going to be miserable at some time in their life, just like everybody else. Wealth does not breed happiness. Spending exorbitant sums of money to hide yourself from your problems isn't going to solve them. We all fight this battle together. There are some things that don't care your gender, your race, your color, your wealth, any of that. Just life things that we're all in it together. We're all flesh and blood. We're all NPCs. We got to focus on the internal and do the best we can to improve our well-being for the short time we're here and try to prop each other up. I just want to leave on that note. The most important thing is stop putting each other down for shit that we don't understand. Giving somebody a small compliment, even if it's a totally different political view than yours, agreeing with one little aspect of what somebody says rather than disagreeing with the whole thing. Or if a person's religious and you don't agree with their religion, just saying, well, I do appreciate this part of your belief system. Or just not being a fucking dick, you know? And it's easy to be a dick today, especially when you can just leave a comment online. So maybe if we all just stop for a minute, think before we post, think before we talk, we can make an environment that's conducive to human beings actually interacting in a social way that's beneficial to everyone. That's my utopia. Everybody just kind of does their own thing. I don't want to get rid of hatred. I don't want to get rid of violence or pain because these things will not go away. They are part of life. You know, violence is part of existing. But it doesn't have to be our go-to method. With that, I bid you farewell. Hope you all have a happy New Year's. Be safe so you make it through another one. Be well. Take care of yourself. Over and out.